I thought losing my job was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I was wrong. Dead wrong. When my boss, Vernon Cray, fired me in front of 40 of my coworkers, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. But 12 hours later, I got a phone call that made me realize something far darker was waiting underneath the surface. Something that would make me question everything I thought I knew about my wife, my family, and my life. My name is Dennis Holbrook. And until that Tuesday morning in March, I thought I had life all figured out. 43 years old, regional sales manager at a company called Midwest Paper Solutions, married for 15 years to a woman named Nan, father to one daughter, Hazel, my pride and joy, a sophomore at Ohio State. I had a decent car, a decent house, a decent life. Not perfect, not glamorous, but it was mine. And then came him, Vernon Cray. 51 years old, silver hair, sharp jawline, the kind of man who looked like he walked straight out of a corporate thriller movie. He wore $3,000 suits to casual Fridays and made sure everyone knew it. He had this gold pen he'd tap against his desk whenever he was about to ruin someone's day. That sound, click, 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 it still haunts me. He'd been vice president of our division for 6 years. 6 years of watching him destroy people's careers with a smirk. 6 years of office politics and manipulation dressed up as leadership. When he promoted me to regional manager 3 years ago, I thought I'd finally made it. Holbrook's got potential, he said, twirling that pen between his fingers. Don't disappoint me. Back then, I thought I'd earned his respect. I didn't realize I was just another piece in his game. I worked 60-hour weeks, landed a $2 million contract, restructured the entire sales department and boosted efficiency by 30%. I thought I was climbing. I didn't realize the ground beneath me was already cracking. My mother, Ruth, she saw through him immediately. That man's got snake eyes, she warned me at a company picnic. He looks at you like he's measuring you for a coffin. I laughed it off. Mother's worry. But she was right. And Nain, she used to be my anchor. We met at a barbecue when we were both 28, married 2 years later. She worked as a dental hygienist. She'd come home every night with stories, gossip, patients, coworkers. We'd laugh, cook together, watch true crime documentaries on Netflix. We'd plan vacations we never took, but at least we planned them. Our daughter Hazel came after 3 years of heartbreak, 2 miscarriages that nearly broke us. When she was finally born, I thought everything had meaning again, but sometimes love doesn't shatter, it just erodes. The changes in Nain started 6 months before that day. She stopped laughing at my jokes, started staying late at work. Her phone became her best friend, her smile a secret. Her perfume changed, her clothes got more expensive. When I asked about the Victoria's Secret charge on our card, she said, "I deserve to feel pretty. Just because you've given up doesn't mean I have to." That sentence hit harder than she'll ever know. My brother Garrett noticed too. He owns an auto shop down on the south side. Straight shooter, always has been. One night, peeling the label off his beer, he looked at me and said, "Dennis, you sure everything's okay at home? Nain seems different." I brushed it off. I always brushed things off. But Garrett had a mechanic's gift. He could look under the hood of a person and see what was broken long before the engine died. The morning it all happened started like any other. I woke up at 5:45, showered quietly while Nan pretended to sleep, made coffee in silence. The machine gurgled while the neighbor's dog barked at shadows. I kissed her cheek on my way out, and she turned away. The scent of a man's cologne, not mine, lingered on her skin. "Big presentation today," I said, trying to sound cheerful. "Peterson Industries. If I land this, Vernon might finally approve that promotion." She mumbled something that might have been good luck, or don't care. I chose to hear good luck. At the office, I felt it immediately. That energy. Conversations stopped when I walked by. My assistant Karen wouldn't look me in the eye. Something was off, but I ignored it like I always did. Life has a way of warning you before it crushes you. We just don't listen. Midwest Paper wasn't just a job, it was my identity. 12 years of my life, gone before lunch. The building had 3 floors, glass walls, corporate slogans plastered everywhere. I knew every coffee stain, every squeak in the elevator, every shortcut through the cubicles to avoid small talk. That office was my world. I'd spent 3 months preparing for the Peterson Industries account, my biggest pitch ever. $8 million in potential contracts. It was supposed to be my masterpiece. That morning, I walked into the conference room early, laptop in hand, ready to present. The place was packed, 40 faces, all turned toward Vernon. He stood at the head of the table, tapping that gold pen. Click, click, click. "Take a seat, Holbrook," he said. We need to discuss something before your presentation. And just like that, the air changed. Everyone went quiet, the kind of silence that means something terrible's about to happen. I sat down. Karen, my assistant, sat in the corner taking notes. She couldn't even look at me. Dennis, Vernon began, voice loud enough for the entire department to hear, we need to address your performance. My heart started pounding. He went on, inconsistencies in your reports, missed opportunities, decline in morale. None of it was true. Our numbers were the best in 2 years. Retention rates were up. We'd won the regional award. Vernon, I said, trying to stay calm, our numbers. He cut me off. Numbers aren't everything, Dennis. Leadership is about vision, innovation, inspiration, qualities you clearly lack. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. People were frozen, pretending not to watch, but watching. Then came the words that changed everything. Effective immediately, your employment with Midwest Paper Solutions is terminated. He didn't even blink. Security would escort me out. My paycheck would be mailed. 12 years. Gone. Just like that. But he wasn't done. No, Vernon Cray always saved his best knife for last. Oh, and Dennis, he said, voice dripping with that fake, polished charm. There's something else you should know. In the interest of full transparency, the corners of his mouth curled. Nayan and I are together now. The room exploded. Gasps, whispers, eyes darting between us. Someone actually laughed, then immediately covered their mouth. I froze. I couldn't even process it. You're lying, I said, though even I didn't believe my own voice. Vernon just smiled, slowly pulled out his phone, swiped once, and held up the screen for everyone to see. There she was, Nayan, wearing a red dress I'd never seen before, standing on a balcony overlooking the Columbus skyline, Vernon's arm around her waist, champagne glasses raised. The timestamp, Saturday night, book club night. I felt my knees weaken. She's a remarkable woman, Vernon said, slipping his phone away. Deserves someone who can give her the life she wants, not someone stuck in middle management, driving a 5-year-old Honda. The words hit harder than any punch, because they were true. Twisted, but true. Yes, I drove an old Honda. Yes, our house was modest, but they were built with honesty, with love. And now those things were being turned into proof of my failure. Under those fluorescent lights, surrounded by 40 pairs of eyes, I felt something break inside me. Security was waiting by the door. Come on, son, said Earl, the older guard, kind eyes, gray mustache. Let's get your things. That walk through the office felt like a funeral procession, every step echoing with humiliation. Whispers trailed behind me. That was the moment I thought I'd lost everything. But I hadn't. Not yet. Because 12 hours later, as I sat alone in my car, in the dark, engine off, my phone rang. Unknown number. A voice I didn't recognize said, Dennis Holbrook? I hesitated. Yeah, who's this? The voice paused, then said something that made the world stop. Vernon Cray isn't who you think he is, and neither is your wife. I froze. The stranger continued, if you want to know the truth, meet me tomorrow night. Bring no one. Don't tell anyone. Because if Vernon finds out you spoke to me, a breath, a click, the call ended. I sat there in the darkness, phone still in my hand, heart pounding, watching the screen fade to black. For the first time in months, I didn't feel broken. I felt awake. Because in that single moment, I realized something. Maybe losing my job wasn't the end of my story. Maybe it was the beginning of something much, much darker, something I was never supposed to find out. And the next morning, when I started digging into Vernon Cray's past, I learned why my mother called him Snake Eyes. Because the man who stole my wife, the man who destroyed my career, wasn't just a boss. He was a predator. And he wasn't done yet. Soft ambient hum fades in, the kind that echoes in empty hallways. They say you never forget the sound of a door closing behind you for the last time. For me, it wasn't just a door. It was my entire life slamming shut. The chatter died the second I stepped out of the conference room. My coworkers pretended to be busy. Papers shuffled, screens glowed, but everyone was watching. Some looked away in embarrassment, others in pity, and a few couldn't hide their curiosity. My desk was already stripped bare. A brown cardboard box sat waiting, stuffed with my life, a 15-year career reduced to a pile of random belongings. A cracked photo frame on top, Nadine and me at Niagara Falls. She was smiling in that picture, a smile that used to mean everything. Now it looked like a mockery of everything I'd believed. This isn't right, Earl whispered beside me, the older of the two security guards escorting me out. Been doing this job 15 years. Never seen him do it like that. His partner, a younger guy with a dead stare and a badge that read Morrison, smirked. Policy is policy, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. Terminated employees can't linger. security risk. The elevator ride felt endless. 3 floors of humiliation, each ding like a countdown to the bottom of my life. In the parking garage, they stood there, watching as I loaded the box into my Honda. My world's best dad mug had shattered during packing, leaving coffee stains over the family photos. I tried to wipe it off, cut my hand on the broken ceramic. Fitting, really. "Don't come back," Morrison said as I shut the trunk. "Your keycard's dead. You're on the no-entry list. Try to return. It's trespassing." Then he walked away. Earl lingered, slipped a business card into my hand. "My nephew's a lawyer," he muttered. "Wrongful termination. What they did might be actionable." I didn't answer. Just got in the car and drove. Not home, not anywhere specific. Just away. The house felt like a crime scene when I walked in. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt right. The air had weight. Every corner screamed her absence. The closet doors were open, hangers swaying slightly from the air conditioning. Her side of the bathroom counter, empty. She'd taken the good towels, the sheets we bought for our anniversary, even the coffee maker she'd given me for Christmas. But she'd left one thing. Our wedding album, sitting on the coffee table, open to a photo of us cutting the cake. Her lipstick kiss on my cheek, both of us laughing. I couldn't even remember why. And beside it, her wedding ring. A note written on that expensive stationery with her initials embossed at the top. "It's better this way. Don't call me. N. 15 years, reduced to 11 words." I picked up the ring, the same one I'd saved 6 months to buy. A simple gold band, 3 tiny diamonds. I remembered how her hand shook when I slid it on her finger at the altar. Now it felt like evidence from a crime. The bourbon burned in my hand, but I couldn't drink it. The silence pressed in, heavy and suffocating. The old grandfather clock ticked on, a wedding gift from her parents, marking the time like a heartbeat I didn't want to hear. 7 p.m. Dinner time. 8, our nightly Netflix show. 9, her off-key singing in the shower. 10, bed. Sometimes together, sometimes not, but always under the same roof, the same life, the same lie. My phone sat on the table, face down, silent, except for 2 messages. "Hey Dad, are you okay? Someone from your office called me. Please call me back. Heard what happened. Vernon's lucky I don't know where he lives. I'm coming over." I didn't reply. What could I say? That their father, the man they trusted, had lost everything in a single day? That their mother had traded her vows for someone else's promises? I sat there in the dark, staring at the walls, wondering when my life had stopped being mine. Then, the phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something, maybe curiosity, maybe desperation, made me swipe accept. "Don't hang up," a man's voice said immediately. Gravelly, older, confident, the kind of voice that commands attention. "You don't know me, but I know everything about you at Dennis Holbrook." "Who is this?" I asked, trying to sound steadier than I felt. "Someone who knows Vernon Cray better than you think. He didn't just steal your wife, Dennis. Listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you will change everything." I sat up, the bourbon forgotten. "My name's Malcolm Shores. Used to be with the FBI, forensic accountant. Now I'm private. Vernon's first wife hired me years ago during their divorce. Suspected he was hiding assets. What I found was much worse. That name, Vernon's first wife, triggered a memory. The office gossip, the whispers that she was crazy and greedy. Vernon had painted her as unstable. We all believed him, because that's what you do when the boss tells you a story. Malcolm's voice hardened. "Your wife is victim number 4. Vernon has a pattern. He targets married women whose husbands work for him, seduces them, destroys their husbands' careers, then discards the women once he's done. 3 to 6 months, that's his cycle. Your wife has maybe 3 weeks before he moves on." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "That's not my problem anymore." Malcolm laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. "No? Then maybe this is. Vernon's been embezzling from your company. $2 million over 4 years. Fake vendor accounts, shell companies, all tied to him. You noticed inconsistencies in the Hartley Foods account, didn't you?" My pulse quickened. "Yeah, I did." "Bingo. You were getting too close. The audit you started would have exposed him. So he did what he always does, destroyed you before you could destroy him." My hand tightened on the phone. "Why should I believe you?" "Because in about 10 hours, your company email access will be revoked. Standard procedure after termination. But right now, you still have access. Log in. Download everything from the Hartley Foods folder, Brennan Industries, and Sigma Paper Wholesale. That last one doesn't exist except in Vernon's Cayman Islands account." I was already moving to my laptop, fingers flying. "And then? Then you meet me. Riverside Diner, Route 40, 7 a.m. I'll bring documents. You bring the files. The FBI's been building a case for 18 months. They just needed an insider. You're not dirty, Dennis. You're clean, which makes you the perfect witness. Why are you helping me? Malcolm's voice dropped. Quiet now, heavy with something deeper. Because Vernon did the same thing to my brother, took his wife, his job, his name. My brother put a gun in his mouth 6 months later. Left a note saying he couldn't live with the shame. Vernon Cray has destroyed enough lives. It's time someone stopped him. The download bar crept forward, 30%, 45%, 90%. Don't contact your wife, Malcolm said. Don't confront Vernon. Don't tell anyone except your lawyer. Vernon thinks you're broken, finished, drunk in your empty house. Let him believe that. What about Nadine? I asked quietly. She made her choice. But Dennis, she was already planning to leave you. She's been moving money from your joint accounts for months, small amounts, just under notification limits. Check your bank statements. I opened the app. There they were. Dozens of transfers. $50 here, $100 there. Always to her personal account. Over 6 months, more than $3,000 gone. Death by 1,000 cuts. The FBI agent on the case, Malcolm continued, is Patricia Vance. She'll be at the diner tomorrow. Bring the evidence, make copies, backups, and Dennis, one more thing. What? Your brother Garrett and your daughter Hazel, they're good people. Let them help. You're gonna need them. Vernon doesn't go down easy, and when he falls, he takes everyone with him. The files finished downloading, 67 documents, 8 gigabytes of proof. I backed them up to 3 flash drives. Uploaded copies to the cloud, even sent one to an old email I hadn't used in years. I'll see you at 7, I said. Dennis, Malcolm's voice softened. You've been a victim. Tomorrow, you become a weapon. The Riverside Diner was the kind of place time forgot. Chrome siding, neon lights flickering in the early dawn. Inside, the smell of burnt coffee and old secrets. Malcolm was already there, sitting in the back booth with clear sightlines to both exits. Across from him sat a woman in a navy blue suit. Sharp eyes, no nonsense. Dennis Holbrook, Malcolm said as I sat down. Meet Special Agent Patricia Vance. Her handshake was firm, professional. Mr. Holbrook, what you're about to hear might be disturbing. But first, did you bring the files? I handed over a flash drive. She plugged it in. Her eyes flicked over the screen, her expression tightening. The Sigma paper invoices, she muttered. We've been chasing these for months. Mr. Holbrook, you just gave us the missing piece. Malcolm slid a thick manila folder across the table. Open it. Inside, photographs. Vernon with different women, each one the same story. The wife of a warehouse manager, a systems analyst, a director. All fired, all humiliated, all left behind. He's a predator, Agent Vance said. But the financial crimes, those are what will bury him. She opened another folder, FBI Confidential. Inside were bank statements, offshore transfers, fake invoices, all with Vernon's signature. Malcolm looked at me, his tone gentled again. There's something else. Your wife wasn't just having an affair. She was helping him. We have emails. She sent him your bank info, your 401k, even your daughter's college fund. Agent Vance laid the printouts on the table. Nadine's email address, lines of text, numbers, dollar signs. She was helping him calculate your worth, Vance said quietly. He promised her half of whatever he could take from you. She thought she was securing her future. She was actually helping commit federal crimes. The room spun. My stomach turned to acid. Malcolm didn't let me look away. She was also preparing to accuse you of abuse. Same playbook as before. Make you look violent, unstable, dangerous. Get a restraining order. Take everything. Your firing was supposed to trigger your breakdown. Agent Vance leaned forward. We have enough to arrest him now, but we want more. We want him on tape. Will you wear a wire? When? I asked. Tonight. She nodded toward my phone. Vernon called you at 3 a.m. Check your voicemail. I played the message on speaker. Vernon's voice, smooth, drunk, dripping arrogance. Dennis, it's Vernon. I feel bad about how things went down. Man to man, we should talk. Meet me at Carmine's tomorrow night. 8 p.m. Let's discuss your severance package. Malcolm's eyes narrowed. He's going to try to buy your silence. Offer money for an NDA. Get him talking. Let him brag. We'll be listening. That night, I walked into Carmine's, Vernon's favorite restaurant. The kind of place where he held court like a king. He was already there, sitting in a private back room. Same tailored suit, same gold pen beside his glass. The wire pressed against my skin like a live coal. Agent Vance had said it was invisible. Still, I felt every heartbeat against it. Dennis, Vernon said, standing with a grin. Glad you came. Sit, have a drink. The 20-year scotch here is exceptional. I sat, ordered a beer I wouldn't touch. He started right in. Look, yesterday was harsh, but business is business. You know how it is. Nadine came to me, not the other way around. She said you'd changed, that you'd become cold, unreachable. Can you blame her? And the others? I asked, keeping my tone flat. Vernon chuckled. Actually chuckled. You've done your homework. Yes, there were others. Martha, Jennifer, Patricia, all desperate women married to men too boring to notice. Men like you, Dennis, no offense. Hardworking, honest, predictable. He leaned in, lowering his voice. Women get bored with that. Must be expensive, I said quietly. Keeping them happy, Vernon smiled. That arrogant, knowing smile. The kind of smile that says he's never been caught. That's the beautiful part, he said, lowering his voice to a whisper. Picture this. Your boss, the man who's been stealing from the company for years, is sitting across from you at a polished mahogany table in an upscale restaurant. The lighting is warm, the air thick with the smell of whiskey and deception. He leans forward, smirking, and says, "That's not fraud, that's business." You don't even blink, because you already know something he doesn't. You're wearing a wire. And in less than 60 seconds, the FBI is about to walk through that door. I didn't plan to become a whistleblower. I didn't wake up one morning and decide to destroy a man's empire. I just wanted the truth. But in a world built on lies, truth has a way of detonating like a bomb. Vernon Cray, Senior Executive Vice President at Midwest Paper. Charismatic, ruthless, always one step ahead. The kind of man who could make you feel small just by looking at you. The kind of man who called corruption strategy and manipulation leadership. For 4 years, he built a fake company called Sigma Paper Wholesale, a ghost vendor that existed only on spreadsheets and Cayman Island accounts. Midwest Paper would pay Sigma for paper that never existed. Vernon would pocket the money. Easy, clean, invisible. And no one noticed until I did. The first red flag was the Peterson account, a $78,000 invoice that didn't make sense. The paper orders didn't match the shipments. I started digging, just out of curiosity at first. But the deeper I looked, the stranger it got. Duplicate invoices, offshore payments, and vendors that had no websites, no addresses, no employees. When I brought it up to Vernon, he smiled that smug smile of his and said, "Dennis, focus on your department. Leave the accounting to the accountants." That's when I knew. Something was very wrong. And I wasn't just dealing with sloppy paperwork. I was dealing with a criminal wearing a tailored suit. "I don't use my money," Vernon bragged that night over his glass of whiskey. "The company has so many revenue streams. Who notices a few thousand here and there? Sigma alone nets me 40 grand a month." He said it like he was proud of it. Like theft was a skill. Like betrayal was an art form. Then he leaned back, looked me dead in the eye, and said the words that still echo in my head. "Everyone skims, Dennis. The board members, the CEO, they all have their schemes. Mine just happens to be more elegant." He didn't know the FBI agents were listening in real time. 4 years. That's how long he'd been running his little empire of deception. 4 years of fake companies, offshore accounts, and untouchable arrogance. And when I got too close to uncovering it, he came for me. Hard. He destroyed my career, humiliated me in front of 40 coworkers, and worst of all, he took my wife, Nain, the woman I'd loved for 15 years. The woman who swore she believed in me. Turns out she believed in him instead. "I gave you a gift," Vernon said that night, his voice slick with arrogance. Nain was already planning to leave. "I have the texts where she called you pathetic, said she was disgusted watching you eat dinner." Each word hit like a hammer. She couldn't stand another night in that suburban prison. "At least this way, you can blame me instead of facing the truth that she just didn't love you anymore." He smiled. That smile. The one he used when he knew he'd broken someone. But what he didn't know was that he'd just broken himself. Before I could respond, the restaurant door burst open. FBI agents flooded in, badges flashing, weapons drawn, voices sharp and commanding. The ambient jazz stopped mid-note. Glasses froze midair, and Vernon's face shifted, from confusion to anger to pure fear. Agent Vance's voice cut through the chaos. "Vernon Cray, you are under arrest for embezzlement, wire fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy to commit fraud." The whiskey glass slipped from his hand, shattering across the marble floor. He turned to me, eyes wide, and then he saw it. The wire under my shirt. "You set me up," he snarled. "You pathetic nobody." I stood, calm, unshaken. "No, Vernon," I said quietly, "you set yourself up. I just held the door open while you walked through it." Oh, they cuffed him right there between the linen tablecloths and shattered glass. But Vernon wasn't done. He twisted one last time, spitting venom even as the agents pulled him away. "Nain was in on it," he yelled. She knew about the money, helped plan everything. If I go down, she goes down. Agent Vance didn't even flinch. We know, she said. She's being arrested as we speak. That was the moment I realized justice had a pulse. 6 months later, I stood in Vernon Cray's old office, now mine. Same windows, same mahogany desk. But everything felt different. The ghost of his ego was gone, replaced by something cleaner, something real. On the desk sat 3 photos. My daughter Hazel, smiling at her college orientation, my brother Garrett, standing proud at the grand opening of his new shop, and my mother Ruth, surrounded by the grandkids who still visited her every Sunday. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Vernon got 15 years, no early release. The judge's crimes a systematic betrayal of trust fueled by greed and ego. They found $4 million hidden in 6 offshore accounts and 3 shell company properties. Every penny seized, every asset frozen. He went from a penthouse to a concrete cell in 3 weeks flat. Nain wasn't far behind. 5 years for conspiracy plus probation. Her lawyer tried to paint her as a victim, but the emails told the truth. She wasn't manipulated. She was a partner in crime. The woman I loved had planned to destroy me. She even wrote letters from prison, pages of apologies and explanations. I never read a single one. Some words don't deserve the power of being heard. The company board apologized. Robert Fitzgerald, the chairman himself, flew in from New York to shake my hand and say, "We failed you, Dennis. We let a cancer grow in our organization. We need someone with integrity to cut it out." He offered me Vernon's position, triple salary, full respect. But honestly, the money didn't matter. What mattered was redemption. 40 people who'd watched me get humiliated now reported to me. None could meet my eyes for weeks. I didn't fire them. I didn't seek revenge. I just did my job, better than ever. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success with integrity. Hazel became my anchor through all of it. The night I was arrested, she drove 3 hours home from college, found me sitting alone in the dark, and just wrapped her arms around me. "Dad," she said softly, "Mom showed me who she really was. You showed me who you really are." That one sentence fixed something inside me I thought was broken forever. She helped me repaint the house, rip out the memories, rebuild our home from ashes. Garrett, my brother, never wavered either. He offered me a job at his shop the day I lost everything. "You're my brother," he said. "That means something." When I got promoted, he just smiled and said, "Don't become him, Dennis." I never did. Every Thursday, we still meet for a beer at Murphy's Tavern. Same booth, same beer, same brotherhood that survived the fire. My mother's reaction still makes me smile. When I told her Vernon had been arrested, she just nodded and said, "I told you that man had snake eyes. But you, my son, you've got survivor's eyes." And then she said the words that will stay with me forever. Anyone can sail in calm weather. It's the storms that show who can really navigate. I closed the Peterson Industries deal 2 months later. $8 million over 5 years, the biggest contract in company history. When I signed it, I made sure Karen, my assistant, who stuck by me through everything, was right there beside me, because loyalty deserves a front row seat to redemption. Agent Vance sent me a letter after the trial. "In 20 years of investigating white-collar crime," she wrote, "I've rarely seen someone handle themselves with such grace under pressure. You didn't just help us catch a criminal, you reminded us why integrity still matters." Those words, they meant more than any paycheck ever could. Life feels different now. The man I was 6 months ago, the broken, humiliated version of me, he's gone. In his place stands someone stronger, wiser, free. Vernon thought he was destroying me that day in the conference room, but he didn't destroy me. He revealed me, because sometimes destruction isn't the end. It's just renovation in disguise. Now I see things differently. When I hire people, I don't look for perfect resumes. I look for character, for those who've been knocked down and got back up. My new sales manager, Jessica, her husband works in accounting. Vernon would have seen them as targets. I see them as good people who deserve to build their lives without predators watching from corner offices. That's the difference between his legacy and mine. He destroyed, I rebuild. People still ask me if I'm bitter. I'm not. I'm grateful. Grateful that the truth came out. Grateful that I saw my wife's real face before wasting another 15 years. Grateful that my daughter saw her father stand tall. Grateful that my brother never doubted me. Grateful my mother lived long enough to see justice served. Even grateful to Vernon for being so arrogant he couldn't resist confessing his crimes while wearing a wire. Because without his ego, I might never have found my freedom. Now, when the phone rings from an unknown number, my heart doesn't race anymore. The past doesn't own me. The scars don't define me. They remind me that survival isn't about escaping the fire, it's about walking through it and coming out forged. Because good men don't just deserve second chances, they create them. And sometimes, your rock bottom isn't the end. It's the beginning of everything you were meant to become. But tell me, what would you do if the man who ruined your life ended up behind bars because of your wire? Would you feel revenge, relief, or something far more dangerous? Peace?